Hey everyone, and welcome to the first Coffee with Kittl for 2023. I'm super excited, and I could think of no better guest than my friend Julian here, who kills it over in the Discord and is killing it on Etsy, which is the topic for this video. We're essentially talking about how to make your first 100 sales on Etsy, and he even has the little best shop for gifts thing, which we're going to take a look at. But
Mhm.
Julian, what's going on? How are you? And are you looking forward to sharing some Etsy tips with the viewers here?
Well, hey man, thanks for having me. This is great. Yeah, of course. It's 2023. 2022 was a really great year for me. Started my first print on demand Etsy shop, of course. And yeah, I'm super excited to be able to share what I've experienced so far, how it has gone, and hopefully somebody would see this and be able to get into print on demand themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. And for those of you that don't know Julian, he's an amazing designer, also helps us with support and just a couple of different varying things over in our Discord, which everyone needs to join. You can find that link down in the description. And you can also see our kind of 10,000 subscriber celebration where Julian and I held it down and gave a ton of super cool sneak peeks. So you need to go check out that video. I'll link it in the cards for you to check out. But Julian, my first question, which I neglected to ask you beforehand, was how long have you been on Etsy? It really hasn't been that long, right? Which is why this is so cool to talk about.
Yeah, no, it hasn't been that long at all. It was the end of September 2022. So
Okay.
yeah, so
So
pretty much
not
what they would say is quarter four. That's pretty much the amount of time that I've been on Etsy with selling everything. So
yeah, and
yeah,
and
not
those
too long.
sales started picking up really intensely, if I remember correctly, around that December mark, right? So about the maybe we'll say the better part of 4 months, but really 3 months, I think,
Yeah.
is some hard work for you, and it kind of took off.
Right. So we got our first sale at the end of October. It was like a Halloween shirt design that
Wow.
I had made. And then going into November, all of a sudden we started getting a sale here, a sale there. Then it started really picking up toward the end of November and then into December. It was just nuts.
It was nuts. Yeah. Well, I have your Kittl profile pulled up here because I wanted
Hmm.
to kind of shout that out first and kind of show a couple of the things that you do. Of course, you've got a lot of challenge entries here that are good. A lot of, like this one I love, like a book cover template, which is perfect.
Hmm.
Different, you have a whole wide range of things from like, the kind of t-shirt designs and stuff you sell. And then
Hmm.
also you have the Etsy here, which is perfect because now I don't have to. Sometimes Etsy can be finicky, right? When
Yeah.
you type in a certain like code of link or like sometimes it doesn't come up. But so here's what I was talking about. Everybody, top shop for gifts. That's amazing. Everybody wants that. If you're watching this and you're trying to grow your Etsy, I know you want that. You want this little icon that they populate. You can't like pay Etsy to give that to you. Yeah, it's
Hmm.
only by making the sales. Then you have
Right.
over here 164 sales. You said your first sale was end of October. That's crazy.
Right.
Then you started getting crazy sales in December.
Hmm.
And then so here obviously here are some amazing products which you can see are very reminiscent of the things you do obviously in Kittl because
Hmm.
you've done them in Kittl.
Yeah.
But what's also amazing is down here we have 39 5-star reviews. To me, that's the gold right here. Is
Right.
this is what you want. You want the 5-star, you want these little tags here. You want people giving pictures of stuff. Well, these are like the product picture that they bought, but
Hmm.
obviously you'd want them kind of sharing pictures of their designs. But I mean, really for you, like first question is like why like how did Kittl help you get to this? Because I mean, if you I remember correctly, you telling me in the chat, and by the way, you can follow Julian's like whole story in the Discord. Like he's been
Hmm.
posting since day one. Here's
Hmm.
what I'm doing, here's the issues, blah blah blah. Why and how is Kittl helped you get to this on Etsy?
Well, first, I think Kittl. I think the best part about Kittl is just it is very easy to get a really professional looking, clean image. I've been graphic designing for a while. I've used Photoshop. I never quite got into Illustrator because I was just really intimidated by
Sure.
the layout and everything. And frankly, since using Kittl, I'm finding it harder to justify why I would even go to Illustrator at this point. But
Really?
basically,
Okay.
that's it. You can make really good, high quality vector
Mm,
designs straight from Kittl and export them quite easily and be able to throw them um, into the print on demand site to be able to integrate it into Etsy. So Kittl is great for that. One of the things that has been very successful on the Etsy shop is we make these personalized recipe books, and we have some other things that are personalized as well. But the recipe books, they sold like crazy during the holidays. And one of the things that Kittl does that is great, I wouldn't have been able to do it on Photoshop for sure, is now Kittl has folders so I can keep all my
mm,
designs in there. I can be able to open up and duplicate a design, easily put the personalized name in the spot.
right.
After my template's already been made. So I can go in there, I can change whatever I need to pretty quickly, and then throw that up in the print on demand side. And then, I can message the customer, show them a mock up of what their product is going to look like. And
Yeah.
that was a huge, huge help during the holidays. Because if you're doing print on demand, obviously you don't have physical objects. It's kind of hard to sell something that you don't physically produce, or something that you can't hold in your hand. So I can't, you know, actually physically market it
Right.
or make promos or whatever. So to be able to make a mock-up really quickly to be able to send to the customer and be like, okay, I got your order. Here's how it's going to look. Do you need any changes or anything like that? That
Mm,
helped tremendously. And the customers really appreciated that.
yeah.
I think that the biggest thing that helped me for sure was being able to establish that kind of relationship with the customer. And then in the end, it really helped them be able to leave those reviews. And then the way that the Etsy's algorithm works is the more positive interactions that your store gets,
Yeah.
the better it's going to work in the algorithm.
This one right here says in 5 carts.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, so if anybody's, like, I just wanna backtrack slightly. If anybody's
Mhm.
lost, I wanna explain what he's talking about. And, I mean, those of you who are setting up Etsy shop, maybe you're pros already and you know the personalized kinda thing, but right here in the middle where it says Anderson's, right?
Mhm.
So Anderson's Recipes. What he's saying is that with Kittl, because it's so easy to have this template already done, in Kittl, you can create your project folder, which I showed in a previous video already. You can set up your project folder for this design, duplicate, duplicate, duplicate as many times as you want. So when an order comes in, you open up that template, change Anderson's to Jameson or
Mhm.
to Wilson or to Chavez or whatever. Like you just
Mhm.
change it, and then you send that to your buyer. Does this look good? Any everything okay? Everything spelled right? Whatever, and then boom, you're good to go. All you do is, I mean, yeah, I mean, you're the expert here. I don't actually do personalized items on Etsy, but I'm assuming you just pump that into the print on demand, right? Whether it's
Mhm.
Printful or Printify or Awkward Styles or whatever it is,
Yeah.
and it just goes right to the customer, right? You know, they're
Yeah.
happy, you're happy, and it's good to go.
Right. Right. Exactly. That's exactly how it works. And it is that easy.
Now, why do you think, like for you, why like, and you already said you were intimidated by Illustrator. I was a long time ago. I mean,
Mhm.
again, everything I say is going to be biased. So I love hearing you say that because everything I say is going to be biased because I like am a Kittle everything. But
Yeah.
I am still a designer and design things on the side. I still rarely open up Illustrator. I mean, if it's like if I have to,
Mhm.
I'll do it. I mean, there's still like some book layouts and things I do because I'm a strong like I don't want to open up InDesign, so I'll just open up Illustrator and
Mhm.
do a whole book in Illustrator.
Yeah.
Or yeah, but why? Like, why do you think it's so much easier for you to do in Kittl versus trying to do all of this in Photoshop? And I think there's like in my mind there's a couple things to unpack, but I want to hear
Mhm.
why you think it's easier to do this in Kittl for your Etsy versus trying to set this up in Photoshop.
I would say first, I mean, the whole reason I found Kindle in the first place is because I have never found anything that has as much like vintage elements and resources and fonts. That's the whole reason I found Kindle to begin with.
Right.
And a lot of the stuff that I design has that kind of style to it. So
Yeah.
that is the first thing to be able to access, especially all the elements to be able to help me build out a design. That's probably one of the biggest reasons why I use it. And then second, it's just very easy to be able to um, make a project, duplicate it if you need to,
Mm.
go in and make some edits to it really quick if you need to. For especially for me who does the print on demand stuff, so definitely I would say it's just very easy to get in there and go.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to hear you say it because I feel like I can say it as many ti I can say it's just easier to do a million times, and people are just gonna be like, some people are just gonna be like, "No, Photoshop's better," or whatever. But,
Hmm.
like, I mean, again, if I go back to your page here and like let's just take this one for example. I just want to open it up. Like I'll just
Hmm.
click use this design. And also this is all in your browser. Like it's ready to go, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to download anything. You can access this from anywhere.
Hmm.
Like everything is in here ready to go. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like all of these elements, which are nicely grouped together,
Hmm.
were found over here, right? So if you're working on a cookbook and you just type in cooking, like maybe we're doing a book just for steak recipes or whatever, right? This
Hmm.
this is the kind of thing you're talking about is like
Oh yeah.
if you're opening up Photoshop and unless you have your Shutterstock subscription and your Adobe stock subscription and your whatever else that plugs into Photoshop and I'm not harping on those things, they're all great. But you need all of those components, right, to set up a template, a document, right, to be able to
Hmm.
keep opening. And then you have to I mean, let's just be honest. You have to keep waiting for Photoshop to open every time you have an order come in. And I know there's people that do that this way, and that's totally fine. However, what you're saying is the way you were able to basically skyrocket, jump, put all of these designs up on your Etsy was literally because it's just easier to do. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely. In fact, so that design there, that is one of the things, one of the designs that I sell. I have it on a sweatshirt, and that was one of the ones that did pretty well too during the holidays. And like you're
There's
doing
the
right
bread
there,
right
you could
there.
easily put in a bread basket, or I did pies and other types of things
Chef
you
hat.
would bake. I could easily switch out the picture, put a different name instead of sourdough. I can put sweets, pastries, and
Yeah,
then
you
you
can
can
do
easily
anything.
put the name above bakery, and that's it. As simple as that.
Yeah, and I mean, like, and I know that a lot like you, for example, I know you take inspiration from a lot of these other templates, but, you're kind of starting and doing your own thing from scratch, which is, like, still I feel like still having all of these elements and things over here, right? So having all of these
Mhm,
illustrations, and let's just say we are starting with a complete blank canvas,
mhm,
you have all of these things to help set you up, right,
mhm.
for whatever sweater design or whatever book cover design. And then, but you
Right.
also have all of these templates, right? So if you know you want to be a
Mhm.
bestseller for just t-shirts on Etsy, then you can take the inspiration from all of these, which you have some on here as well, right? So like
Yeah.
the people
There,
watching
I
are
can
like,
see some right there.
yeah, they can get like, yeah, this one for example right here. Like those of you
Mhm,
watching, you can already be ahead, get a jump start, and just like one of my favorite phrases I heard from someone I follow named Sean Cannell is success leaves clues. I'm sure there's a lot of other
mhm.
people that have said that, but like just follow the clues. Like success leaves clues. Like Julian did the thing, and he's succeeding. So like, it's okay. Like, let's follow the clues. You know what I mean? And you can get ahead with these designs that are already selling. You know.
Mhm.
So I want to talk a little bit about like the ins and outs of Etsy. So obviously, like you and I know we could gloat all day about how fantastic Kittl is. And obviously that's, you know, a little bit what we're doing with why, you know, you can skyrocket on Etsy. And we had Heather on the channel a little while ago, another absolute Etsy mastermind, which you guys should
Mhm.
all go check out that interview I had with Heather, because she's using
Definitely.
Kittl to make designs very quickly, templated designs, whatever it is, very quickly on Etsy. What
Mhm.
is your process, and any suggestions you want to sprinkle in along the way? Like, what is your process from having the design finished, and then you're like, it's finished. Okay, like, what do I need to do? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like let's say we wanted to do either that sweatshirt, or you're wanting to do one of these retro or rugged t-shirt designs, which is hot
Mhm.
selling on that style is hot selling on Etsy all the time, retro,
Oh, yeah.
vintage, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, you've got it in, you've made it in Kittl, which maybe some people watching have got to that point. They're like, I have this design and I think it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Like, what is your process? What is Julian's task list to uh set this up on Etsy in the way that you've been doing it?
Well, so, once I have my design, and it's kinda built out the way that I think would work best, it depends on the design. If it's something on Kittl that, um, is easily, um exportable without having to do anything else, I can go straight to, the print on demand website, and the one that I use is Printify. It integrates really
Mhm.
well with Etsy, that's why I use
Yeah.
it. I think it has a lot of really great products that you can put your images on as well. So, for example, if it's a book cover, like the ones you see there, I can go and throw it straight onto Printify, um, and be able to upload it straight to Etsy. Um, there's some other stuff that goes into that, which I'll get into it in a second. But other than that, once I get it to Printify, uploaded to Etsy, then I have to pretty much dress up the listing to make it all ready to go. So I have to figure out a mock-up that I'm going to use for Etsy. You can see there, I use some mock-up websites to be able to display the product as best as I can. It's hard,
Right.
of course, because you don't have the physical
Exactly. Yeah, right. Yeah.
products, so you have to kind of just do whatever you can. And then after I get the pictures and everything, then I have to figure out, my title. I have to put the best way to make it work on Etsy for their algorithm is you want to put keywords in the title, and pretty
Yes.
much that makes it
Absolutely.
easier for people who are searching certain things. It makes it easier for your listing to get in front of somebody's face quicker, I
Right.
guess. And yeah, that's pretty much it. The thing I would say once it's up on Etsy is just trying to get it optimized. There's a word that you'll hear,
Okay.
or
Yeah.
a phrase, it's SEO, which is search engine optimization. So that's pretty much it from there. And then there's some other things you do, but yeah, that's pretty much the process from design to on the Etsy shop.
Yeah, and I mean, like, the reason I feel like this process is cannot be so daunting, and not and hopefully like hopefully we as Kittl can take some of the pressure off people getting started with an Etsy or their own Shopify or whatever, is because like Kittl's taking care of your one-stop shop for this designing, right? And it already
Mhm.
is like, we've got the file exports for whatever you need, for, going right to Printify, and then Printify is taking care of everything else. That this
Mhm.
kind of drop shipping, print on demand motif is that they're really taking care of everything. Now, like Julian mentioned, sometimes you won't have some of these physical products unless you order them. Always, if you
Mhm.
can, if you have the ability, you can order one of these products for yourself, actually have it in your hand, take
Mhm.
good photos of it too if you want.
Yeah.
But you can also use mock-up sites like he mentioned to make these stand out a lot better. Juna and I had a conversation. Juna from Detour Shirts had a conversation a couple weeks back about, mock-up files, what kind of works well, what audience is on Etsy. It's really for looking for gifts. It may be,
Oh yeah.
a high percent of women versus men. Not saying men aren't on Etsy, obviously, but like these are the kinds of things you think about when you're setting up things like mock-ups and your titles and stuff like that, right? So it's really just these three components, right? Kittl is taking care of everything, whether that's personalized template design that you're coming up with, then you're shipping that over to Printify, which is then providing the product to Etsy, right? So
Right.
Kittl, Printify, Etsy, good to go, right? Everything is playing along, and hopefully, like very soon, we'll be able to cut out the mock-up part of that because we'll be able to do that ourselves, right? You'll be able to take your design and then immediately mock it up on whatever you want, hit export and ship it off to Etsy. Done,
Mhm.
right? There's a lot of strength to be had here in trying to do this the fastest, but still retain quality, right? So everybody wants fast, 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 but sometimes when you do things fast, you may lose some quality. And what we're trying to do is give you both. You know what I mean? Like we have
Mhm.
designers all over the world, yourself included, making amazing, whether it's illustrations or fonts or templates, retaining quality so that you can be fast and really giving customers what you want is like what you said, Julian, is having this kind of connection with the customer for personalized items, which I think in this case, like that's kind of your moneymaker, right? Is the personalized is such a big
Yeah.
thing for
Yeah.
Etsy. So if you have the capability to do that, you know, that's the kind of thing that you're going to want to jump on is a personalized item.
Exactly.
So for you, like one of the like another question that kind of comes to mind is how are you? I know this is the big ticket question a lot of people probably had when they clicked this video. Is like I'm still trying to figure out how you came to recipe books, like customized recipe books. Like one, how did you know slash think that would sell well, and or what is your process for deciding here what like you're at home, you're like, I'm gonna do this because I think this is gonna sell well.
Mhm.
That's like
Well,
the Pandora's box question I feel like everybody's gonna ask.
yeah. When I started researching like products and what to sell and everything, a lot of people will start getting you on the path to doing shirts and sweatshirts.
Sure.
And that's fine. I think that's a great thing to start selling. But one of the things I knew was that the market was really saturated. It's a really saturated market for shirts and sweatshirts. If you look up any type of shirt and sweatshirt, you're going to see definitely a ton of listings on Etsy. And you can tell right away, they're almost all of them are print on demand. Um,
Yeah, because 'cause they're all gonna be, like, just to pick well, sometimes here you can get somebody that's doing, like, their own little thing, but, like, a
yeah.
lot of these are stock, right, with a stock background or something like that.
Yeah. So that was one of the things I knew going into it. And then sure enough, I put shirts and t-shirts or shirts and sweatshirts and that was okay. And as far as the books go, I don't remember exactly what clicked for me for doing the personalized recipe books, but I do remember I was looking through Printify's products that they have, and I saw that there were journals. Oh, actually, I think it was back when Kittl had a design challenge for
For journals,
journal covers. And
and
then
that's what
I
it looks like
remember
some of these are,
the
yeah.
yeah, I remember the YouTuber who was featured in that design challenge. She was
Yeah,
mentioning,
May.
yeah, she was mentioning to somebody who won that they should upload their stuff to sell on a
Ah,
different
yes,
website. So
yes.
I think from there I looked
Zazzle,
it,
yeah.
yeah, I think I looked at Printify to see what they had, and sure enough, they had the journal covers. I found one that was a matte cover
Mm,
journal, and I just started looking at references. So I just started scaring the web, trying to find designs I liked, and I knew that I was looking for vintage stuff. That's just been my
Yeah,
my thing lately. And then I was like, oh, it just clicked because for one, I really like to cook and bake at home. I'm a big bread baker. That's one of the things I love to do at home. It's one of my favorites, like sourdoughs,
right.
different kinds of country loaves. It's
That's
it's
super
it's one of
cool.
my things.
That's super
um,
awesome.
yeah, so it just clicked for me, like, oh, if people are going to be looking for gifts for people on Etsy, one of the things you can tap into is, what do people love to do? And it just clicked like that. For people who love to bake and love to cook, a recipe book goes along with that. So if you
Yeah, I
put,
just typed in gifts for cooks, and the
yeah,
second search result is what recipe book.
exactly. Yeah. So if you
Wow.
make it personalized, then you have that little extra touch. And sure enough, when people left their reviews, and they would even message me back after um, the people have received their gifts, they would say, like, oh my God, the my person loved it so much. It was a big hit at Christmas, things like
Mm.
that.
Yeah, yeah, that's excellent. I mean, I that's crazy, like,
Yeah.
gifts for cooks, like, I feel like when I type this in obviously, I'm not on, like, a cooking site, right? So but I
Right.
expected to see, like I don't know why, I expected to see, like, some kinda crazy forged knives and, like but, like, it's like, somehow we have like, a shirt here, and then we have some
Mhm.
spices, that's cool, I also thought about that. But
That's
then
cool.
it's like, look at this, like, this one right here looks like it might have been made by you almost, like,
Oh, that's
star we have star sellers with these
mhm.
recipe books, that's insane, so if someone
Yeah.
I mean, you're exactly right, if someone's coming here oh, yeah, I didn't even think about, like, cutting boards, if somebody's coming here and typing in "gifts for cooks,"
Mhm.
you know, it's almost like, what would you expect to come up? "Ooh, this may be something you should get into, man, some custom aprons."
Oh,
That's
yeah.
a gift
Yeah, I've
gift for a
I've
cook
been
right
looking
there.
at it.
Yeah, the oh, there's yours right there, right?
Yep, that's my bestseller one.
Right, yeah, that's amazing. So, like, I'm telling you, you're gonna be at the star seller one day soon
Well,
because
so the thing about that, so Etsy, they have these periods. It's about a month, I think, to be eligible for star seller, and you
mm,
have to meet certain requirements. So it's like a certain percentage for messages answered,
okay. Wow.
certain percentages for like orders that have gone out on time, and then like the average reviews. And I am just a couple percents away from being
Wow.
eligible for star seller.
That's amazing, like, and that's just amazing,
Yeah.
and just so I make sure that I'm not incorrect, all the designs that you did in Kittl, yes?
There is one that was something that I made out of Kittl, but pretty much every other one except that one
That's
is
still a lot.
all Kittl. Yeah. But
That
yeah, all the ones that have sold are definitely all things that I've made in Kittl, and especially the books. Those are all Kittl.
that is phenomenal. Like that's first of all, that's really great advice, not even design wise. Like that's taking a step back and saying like that's just doing your research. That's a big component of any hopefully that's a big component of any video you search on YouTube for how to grow on Etsy is like
Yeah.
learning how to do your research. Like Julian just said, like if someone's going to type in gifts for cooks like I just did or gifts for, whatever bakers, like what are the things that you would want to come up, right? That you're searching for or what are the things that you think someone would want to come up, right? And so
Mhm.
in this decision you've made with recipe books and then personalizing them like, just take like, for those of you watching, trying to figure out how to grow, you can just take that success, right, and follow those clues and then just
Mhm.
replicate that for whatever it is that you're trying to do, gifts
Right.
for D&D players, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
whatever it is, like, I feel like this is a you can replicate this research, right?
Right. I think I will definitely say that aside from all the designs and everything, my biggest philosophy is how can I make what I'm doing stand out and be a little separate from the rest. Because, like I mentioned before, when you search for, whatever types of shirts, you're going to see a ton of print on demand listings, and that's fine.
Listings.
That's great. The market is saturated, but I think what you need to do, anyone needs to do if they want to stand out and make sales, is to build on what they can definitely control. So for me, I have a background in customer relations and the food industry. So I used to be a server and stuff. So the customer service side is a little bit easier for me. So that was one of the biggest things that I focus on. So anytime I got a sale, I made sure that I was messaging with the customer, any kind of issues they had. It was like, of course, let me help you out with that.
Yes.
And I was very thankful. I was always saying thank you. Um, wishing them a happy holidays, everything like that. I wanted to build that relationship with my customer
Right.
because I knew that was definitely something I could control. I didn't have physical products to sell. I just had my digital shop. So the biggest
Right.
thing I knew that I could do is just establish that good relationship, and it's
Yeah,
paid off.
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you can see it's paid off in your reviews, and that's such an integral part of Etsy. I mean, you're gonna want reviews. Of course, you want your sales. You want to make your first sales, but I mean, you want to go above and beyond in really everything. Maybe it's if it's your own personal Shopify store or whatever. I know it's a little bit harder to do via like Redbubble or Society 6 or something, but especially on Etsy, which is an extremely highly searched, well-renowned site for gifts and custom goods, you
Mhm.
want to go above and beyond so that you stay at that 5-star rating, with those reviews, and hopefully sharing and showing your products, whether that's a picture of showing how it came in, or like you said, this was such a big hit or whatever. These
Mhm.
big keywords, right, that you want in the review. So for Etsy, that's such another big part, is making sure that you're ready to be personable, at least via digitally on the chat or whatever,
Yeah.
and so that you can basically give the best customer service possible. So that, I mean, that's you going above and beyond, and making sure that, like, from start to finish, this customer is having an enjoyable time, right? Like I mentioned earlier, you can see, I love some of the times in the Discord where you've said, hey, there was an issue, like, and this is going to happen, right? Somebody's going to get the wrong color, right? They're going to get a shirt that's just blown out. It's not the right color, or the design's just not coming through, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And you've got to make it right. And so that is you, as the seller, is your, prerogative to really make sure that it's right. And I know for you, in that example, in that story, you made it right immediately. You even paid for expediting shipping, which is
Yeah.
probably above and beyond what most sellers are going to do. So it's like all these little things that you can do, which may hurt a little bit in the beginning, because I know
Mhm.
there were some, again, all of you can go read this, literally, like Julian posted this in the Discord. Like, just doing all these little things in the beginning I think, has helped you skyrocket your Etsy, alongside with using Kittl as a platform that's easy to use. But like, you as a person doing these things, these extracurricular things, has helped skyrocket. So I hope that information is also helpful for anyone watching. I mean, is there anything that you would want to say on that, or if are there any last points, last pieces of advice that you would give people that are probably just starting out on Etsy? It's 2023. Somebody's like, okay, I got to do it. I got to get with it. I got to start making some sales. What comes to mind?
I think what comes to mind is do do a lot of research. Don't
Yeah.
if you jump straight in, it's fine. Don't feel like you have to be rushed to make anything happen. Just take your time, do your research. I did a lot of research on YouTube. That was one of the best
Mm,
resources I had.
yeah.
I was watching a
Exactly.
lot of creators on YouTube, and there's a lot of great free information on there that
Yes.
made me money over the holidays. So, but do your research, take your time. Don't pressure yourself. Don't feel like, in fact, this was a really great piece of advice I had over the holidays, because I'm in some print on demand groups on Facebook.
Yeah.
And one of the things I saw somebody say was, like, hey, I got this bad review. And they were kind of walking through how they handled it. And they said, don't think that you ruined anyone's Christmas, or that you're ruining
Yeah.
anyone's life, or you're ruining your life. Just take your time and just kind of work through what you can, troubleshoot it, and then take that as a point of learning for the future, and learn from that. So I think that's a bit of what I would say, kind of wrapping up, because definitely I've learned a lot after, having the little bit of success that I've had over the last few months. So my goal is to have a better 2023 for my shop. And what I can do is just take the information from last year, everything I've learned,
Yeah.
apply it to this year, and hopefully things will be better.
Absolutely. That's another key point is just keep at it, just
Mhm.
like you said, take your time, think about it, do your research, but also keep at it. You can't finish the marathon if you don't start. Etsy
Yeah.
is a marathon. It's not a sprint, it's not going to happen overnight. Sometimes it can, but you won't have that unless you keep at it, right? So it's very
Mhm.
important. Well, Julian, this has been super awesome, super helpful. I know this is going to help a ton of people. And again, if you haven't watched some of our previous videos, Julie and I shared a ton of amazing features. Also, check out the interview with me and Heather. Check out the interview with
Mhm.
me and Detour Shirts, both masterminds when it comes to print on demand. Those are going to help you. Lots of cool tips, especially SEO tips there to pick apart. Julian, thanks again so much, and we will see you all in the next video. Bye.
Yeah, thanks for having me.